Yes. Oh, yes. So we thank Elohim for yet another opportunity that He has granted unto us. It is a privilege and a sign of mercy for us to be alive in this day and age. And it's not just the fact that we are breathing that we ought to be grateful for, but more so the fact that the quality of our life is good. And what I mean with the quality of our life basically had to do with the fact that we are healthy. None of us is crippled, handicapped, suffering of any kind of terminal disease. But by the mercy of Yah, our bodily parts are all functioning. There are some people that went to sleep and they woke up just like us, with the difference being that they woke up and one was maybe blind and the other woke up and maybe something within the body was not functioning. But as for us, by the mercies of Yah, whilst we slept, the angels of mercy, they kept us. And we awoke this day and we are still strong and everything is still functioning as it should be. And this is mercy that is coming from Elohim. And we are grateful unto him for this great privilege that he has granted unto us. And one of the ways that we can show our gratitude is that we ought to remember him um, whilst we are still alive. So the Bible basically says that remember now thy creator in the day of thine youth, even before the evil days come when you shall have no pleasure in them anymore. And the evil days are those days when you are smitten with diseases. The evil days are those days when you are immovable by reason of whatsoever that you are going through. And I remember it was 2 weeks ago at my workplace. Yes. So as I was saying, I remember 2 weeks ago at my workplace, and I think we were on a lunch break, and I was walking outside with this old professor. He's almost retiring, so we were just discussing health and healthy lifestyle. And he basically told me that based on statistics, the life expectancy of people in the Netherlands is around 80, mid 80s. And he told me that it doesn't really matter as much when it comes to life expectancy, whether you are living a healthy lifestyle or not. People in the Netherlands die around the age of 80. So I asked him, what is then the benefited value of having a healthy lifestyle? And he told me that even though both of them reach around the 80 mark, he says the quality of life in the last 20 years is different for the two of them. He said those that live unhealthy lives usually spend around the last 20 years of those lives with sicknesses, diseases, pain, whilst those that have invested in a healthy lifestyle, they spend the final 20 years as normal as possible because they maintained a healthy life. And that is why the Bible exactly just said that remember Elohim in the days of your youth. Remembering Elohim in the days of your youth stands equal to living a healthy lifestyle, spiritually speaking. He said before the evil days come, because when the evil days come and you have Elohim with you, those evil days won't be so evil because you are already in league with him. You are in covenant with him. So the comforter will be by your side. But those that have ignored Elohim, enjoyed his sunshine, enjoyed his rain, enjoyed his benefits, they enjoy it for a season. But when they are reaching the end, is where they will feel, is when they will feel the spiritual abandonment. And so the quality of their life will drop. So that is why it is our mission, and as it behooves us every single uh, Sabbath, we always try to come your way to bring unto you the good news of the fact that Elohim loves us and he wants us to be at our best. So with regards to that, we would like to greet all of you people, wheresoever you are tuning in. We pray that the peace of Elohim may be with you. We pray that whatsoever you are going through, that Elohim may sustain you. Sometimes you may feel up. Sometimes you may feel down. Sometimes you may be happy. And sometimes you may be extremely sad. And the remedy usually, especially when you are feeling down or are extremely sad, is to try and think of the fact that you are in Europe. that is the number one thing I always tell people and myself. When I'm just about to feel a bit sad, immediately this voice echoes in my head like, you are in Europe. Your issues are luxury issues. If you haven't struggled for food, drink, housing, those are the basic needs according to Maslow. All the other things are luxury tags. And most of us in Europe, we suffer because we think we don't have what we want. Whilst in reality, we have everything that we need, but we poison and become bitter and kill ourselves because of the things that we want. And unfortunately, this wanting of yours is nothing but a fallacy, It is an indoctrination of Western philosophy where women want love, but they need protection. And the Bantu man is there providing protection, security. But to them, it's like, no, we want love. And when we ask, please define this fantastical, this mystical love of yours. And they begin to go through their list. After the first two things, we're like, hey, weet je wat? Laat maar. So people, as for me, not to digress, I don't really know how today's session will go. I don't really have much to say, but then, hey, you never know. A slide can take 10 minutes. So let's jump into the topic at hand, right? So leadership. As a team, leadership. And we will focus on Musa, or as we say in Kikongo, Massa, which means pulled from the sea, pulled from the waters, Massa, right? We will look at his life. We will see what he has gone through. We'll pinpoint and take out certain things and see how it relates to us. So, introduction.
Yes, so for today's lesson, we will look at the subject of leadership with regards to the sheepfold of Elohim's pasture. There are many leadership styles suited for different occasions. However, when it comes to the leading of the sheep of Elohim, the Bible makes it clear that those who are to lead suffer the most and do the most.
Repeat that sentence, please.
There are many leadership styles suited for different occasions. However, when it comes to the leading of the sheep of Elohim, the Bible makes it clear that those who are to lead suffer the most and do the most.
Continue.
We will look at the life of Moses as an example and go through some key points in his life and use this as a backdrop to draw out lessons applicable to our day and time.
I don't know how So yes, intro, please.
So, for today's lesson, we will look at the subject of leadership with regards to the sheepfold of Elohim's pasture. There are many leadership styles suited for different occasions. However, when it comes to the leading of the sheep of Elohim, the Bible makes it clear that those who are to lead suffer the most and do the most. We will look at the life of Moses as an example and go through some key points in his life and use this as a backdrop to draw out lessons applicable to our day and time.
So basically, I don't know how you can go through life claiming to have the call of Elohim upon your life and jump around and be happy and be smiling all of the time. It doesn't work because 99%, let's say 100% of them prophets, they call the calling of Elohim upon their life like a burden. So Habakkuk said, the burden of Yah, the burden of Yah. Because this voice that you think will be leading you, it will be leading you all right. But unfortunately, if your ears indeed are open, you will quickly realize that this is a very sad voice. It is a wailing voice. It is a depressed voice that always comes and says, do you see? Have you seen? Do you see? Have you seen? Why? Why? And then you have to come up with solutions and try to solve it, right? So if you indeed are called, especially in this role of leadership, and this is not a leadership for a company, but it is a leadership for the pasture and the sheepfold of Yah, you have to understand that you are called to serve. And this is the thing that we will try to highlight. And whilst we are doing that, you will realize that many people that occupy certain positions, they either occupy it by their own means or someone else has sent them, because they are not portraying the fruits of those sent by Yah. So let's look at the table of content.
So, we will first look at the definition of leadership. We'll look at traditional leadership versus servant leaders. We'll look at the birth of Moses, the calling of Moses, the ministry of Moses, and the death of Moses, and then we'll conclude.
Basically, that's straightforward. So the Strong's definition of leader, what it says.
So, leader, according to the Bible dictionary, it says leader is a leader, a ruler, a captain, a prince, a ruler or prince overseer, a ruler in other capacities, or princely things. And then the Strong's definition says a commander as occupying the front, civil, military, or religious, generally, abstractly, and plural. It also means honorable themes, or again, a captain, a chief, or an excellent thing, or a chief governor, a leader, a noble, prince, or ruler.
Brown Driver Briggs' lexicon says
a leader, literally, probably one who is in front.
So basically, the one who goes out and comes in, the one who takes the first step, the one who stands at the vanguard. That is what a leader is. So First Chronicles 11 and 2, it says,
and moreover, in times past, even when Saul was king, thou was he that led us out and brought us in Israel. And Yah the Elohim said unto thee, thou shalt feed my people Israel, and and thou shalt be the ruler over my people Israel.
So a leader, based on this definition, is one that leads out and that bring it in. So Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt, and his mission was to bring them in to the promised land. So the one who leads out and brings in, as a shepherd or a prophet, or from the context of Elohim's perspective, as a leader, you are one who will bring people out of their confused lives. You are the one who will bring people out of their disgraceful life. You are one that will bring people out of a life of darkness, ignorance, and you will bring them in to the sheepfold of the Almighty. That is basically what you are doing. That is basically what Moses has been doing. And so, continuing from the Cambridge, this is from a worldly viewpoint.
From the Cambridge Dictionary, a leader is a person in control of a group, a country, or situation. This can be a religious leader. Another example, the Russian leader wants to introduce further changes. Or the third example, he's a natural leader.
We will maybe also touch on this for a little, the phenomenon of trained leaders and a natural leader, because some people are of the school of thought that leaders are born, and others are of the school of thought that leaders are developed or leaders are trained. So we'll also maybe dive into that a bit, and then give the final example. She was elected
as leader of the campaign group.
Check. So that is from the viewpoint of the world. And then let's go into this one. And the reason why I basically just implemented this a little in the slides is because yesterday during the table talk, I think you guys went about leadership styles. So that's why I was like, okay, let me shoehorn this in and see how it goes. So leadership styles, yeah?
So the first one says autocratic.
And this is by no means an extensive list of all the potential leadership styles. This is just something that I grabbed that speaks and that touches on the many general aspects of leadership and their styles. So let's go through it, please.
So autocratic, and then the it says an individual control over all decisions and little input from group members.
Please. So on the left, it says the leadership style is called the autocratic. And on the right, it says the characteristic of that leadership style is that
there is individual control over all decisions and little input from group members.
Second leadership style, the democratic one, the one that the so-called Western power uses, which is a lie.
And that the characteristic that fits that the democratic leadership style, it says it reaches consensus through group participation,
which is a lie. They reach consensus by controlling and manipulation. What they usually apply is called the Hegelian dialectic, where they create two scenarios. And eventually what they want to do is they want order out of chaos. So on the left, they create chaos. And on the right, they offer a suitable solution. And in the end, what they want is the middle ground, the synthesis. That's what they usually do. It's all contrived and it's all controlled, these liars. So the delegative style.
That one is characterized by leaders are hands off and allow group members to make the decisions.
So you just delegate. Whatsoever comes, you just delegate. You are the one that is in charge. Someone is sick, you have to take, you just delegate. So those are the people, they just delegate tasks. They don't want to do anything by themselves. They make sure that they put people in place and so that they can delegate the task. The type of leader that takes no responsibility at all. First, you will look at everyone else. Are you available? Are you available? Are you available? Are you available? And only if no one is available, they take up the charge, right? So the bureaucratic one
is a clear chain of command with established rules and procedures.
The visionary style.
That one inspires people and brings them towards a vision.
The affiliative style.
That one creates harmony and builds emotional bonds.
The pace-setting leader.
It sets high standards for performance.
The coaching style.
Helps people develop for future progress.
The transactional style.
Those leaders rely on a system of rewards and punishment to motivate their employees.
The transformational style.
This approach that causes change in individuals and social systems.
So when you look at all these styles and you begin to think about Moses, where does he fit in?
I think many of them blend together.
That's what I was hoping to hear, because it was a trick question. All these theories concocted by these Edomites, it doesn't mean anything. And I'm not impressed, right? So don't try to Moses was, no. All these leadership style, no one fits this narrative for 400%. The best leader is the one that is flexible. Like Bruce Lee would say, be like water, my friend. Sometimes, depending on the situation at hand, when quick decisions have to be made, my friend, you apply an autocratic style. Sometimes when you are dealing with individuals that are very soft spoken, but you know they have a lot of grinta within them, but they just need someone to motivate them, you apply the coaching style. At the time when you see some people are slow, but you need to read something quick, you apply a pace setting style. Sometimes you will see the Almighty. He replies on Elohim himself works on a transactional style. Reward punishment. So depending on the situation, you can apply different styles. So don't go around. And this immediately applies to you as well. When you want to be a leader, you cannot be set in your own ways. Ik heb het altijd zo gedaan. So I've always done it like this. So you have always done it like this. So you must be one that is able to adapt based on the people you are leading. So if you are someone, you are very well mannered, but Elohim has sent you to lead mad people, your politeness will kill you. So if Elohim sees people are mad, he will also try to raise up someone who's mad. Otherwise, it won't work. So don't say, yeah, this is the way. Maybe your way is not working. And a real leader is one who can adapt. So a real leader is one who has many faces. So Shaul said to the Gentiles or to the Greeks, I become like a Greek. And to the Romans, like a Roman. But by no means am I a Roman or a Greek, but I become like. So when you saw Shaul, I think it was on Marsh Hill, he came there and he saw all the idols. He wanted to say fire burn, but he was like, no, I must adapt. So he looked at all the altars and he saw all the Greek pantheon. And he was like, all of these are fallen angels. But then he saw one altar and it said, unto the unknown one. And he adapted. He was like, I will use the unknown altar to preach the Elohim they don't know. But if he was like, hey, if I burn this. So even you as a leader, you must learn how to, like, hey, ik moet Chris benaderen. Hoe kan ik Chris benaderen? How can I get to Chris? Van, hey, ik moet Arike benaderen. How can I reach through Arike? The way I would approach Arike would be different from how I would approach Samuel. The way I would approach Randy will be completely different from how I would approach Shalom. Because you have to keep in mind, what is their background? What is their EQ? What is their spiritual insight? What is their emotional balance? Who raised them? Was daddy around? Was mama? So all these things, they work hand in hand with how you approach someone. So this leadership style, it is fine just to get an understanding, but as long as you adhere to one, you already failed your leadership. Right? So because of time, let us then continue. So this one is also key as we are developing. So on the left we have the traditional leadership,
Mm-hmm.
and on the right we have the servant leadership, and it's basically a pyramid on one side. That's for the traditional leadership, meaning top down. Executive orders are from top and it goes down. And on the right, we have the servant leadership, which is a reversed pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, traditional leadership, the key characteristics. Read for us. The board of directors are one.
Mm-hmm. So traditional leadership seeks leadership as a rank to obtain, uses power and control to drive performance.
Wait. Oh, you're already at the next slide, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, just jump back to slide 7.
Okay.
So read from left. First, you have the board of directors,
Oh,
and
great.
then
Okay.
you go
So
down.
when it comes to the structure of traditional leadership, it starts with the board of directors, and then it goes to the CEO, and then it goes to the executives, followed by the managers, and ended with the employees.
Exactly. So orders are coming from up, and they percolate downwards, and eventually the employees are the ones that execute all these things, and the leaders at the top. And then on the right, we have the servant leadership. And how does that outlook look like?
So this one starts with the employees, followed by the managers, followed by the executives, then comes the CEO, and then come the board of directors.
So in other words, the perspective of traditional leadership is that the employees carry everything because they are the ones that are at the bottom, so they carry the workload. If you look at the characteristics of servant leadership, the ones that carry the load are the board of directors, right? And the ones who are at the top are the employees. In other words, the board of directors, they work and do the most. And that is the difference between traditional versus servant leadership. And the reason why I want to pinpoint this as we go to the next slide, traditional leaders sees
leadership as a rank to obtain, uses power and control to drive performance, measures successes through output, speaks, and believes it's about them.
Believes it's about them. Het is mijn verhaal. Servant leadership
sees leadership as an opportunity to serve others.
This is key. Servant leadership, the whole mindset is I'm serving others. Traditional leadership, the whole mindset is how can I get people to work? So traditional leadership, it's about I. How can I amass the most followers? How can I achieve this? Traditional leadership is, hey, how can I enable others? What is it that I can do that will be of benefit to others? So you are leading from a perspective is, how can I render service? Second point, shares power
and control, shares power and control to drive engagement.
You see, it's not uses power. It shares power and control to drive engagement. 3, it measures success through
growth and development.
So not simply output. It measures success through growth and development. It listens and not simply speaks. It listens. And then it understands
that it's not about them.
So when you look at these things, I want you to immediately begin to look at you, begin to see how, because leadership, it goes beyond Moses, it goes beyond etc. It's about how you see life for yourself, one. It's also about how you are, maybe within the setting of your household, maybe within the setting of your family, wheresoever you are. What is your mindset? Is it I, or is it how can I be of use of, or how can I be of use to? How can I also benefit others? That is the mindset we must have. The mindset that Cain lacked when he replied to Elohim and he said, Elohim, you are asking me these things. Am I my brother's keeper? Elohim was trying to tell him, yes, in this world you are. In this world you are. That is the only way that you will be able to keep the laws as pure as possible. Because most of the laws Elohim has given, they were not meant for you alone. They were actually meant so that you, by keeping the laws, will help your brother not to fall. But if your mindset is like Elohim wants me to be imprisoned, he only wants me to be a slave, you have missed the mark. Because why would you dress decent? It's not for you. It's relaxing to put on shorts. It's relaxing when the sun is shining. But why won't you do it? It is because I am my brother's keeper. Me dressing this way will cause offense. Therefore, I will suffer the burden and keep myself. That is the perspective, right? You understand it's not about you, even in leading. So having said those things, let that go inside of your mind. In every leadership capacity that you are leading, be it in your marriage, be it in your household, be it in a group, be it as a singer in a lead in a singing group, be it as in your Bible study group, whatsoever it is you are doing, don't apply the traditional leadership style. If you want to excel, especially in the domain of Elohim, apply the servant leadership style. Apply the servant leadership style. How can I enable others to improve? So as long as your leadership only benefits you alone, you have failed and you will fail as a leader. Your success will be measured by how you make others also succeed. Because it is unnatural and not normal, you being a leader, you are excelling. But your sheep that are following you, all of them are in difficult situations. And you are comfortable because you are excelling. A true leader should be able to reproduce what he himself is getting, and it should reflect on others as well. So you have gained a house, you are a leader. The first thing you are thinking about is not how can I get my second house? No. It should be, hey, now I have this house. How can I make sure that the principles I've applied is so clear and transparent that the one that is after me can also achieve this? You have gained insight. You will not keep it to yourself. How can I make sure that this information has become common knowledge to all those who have been called to serve? That is why the Messiah said, I am, what did he say? I am the tree. A leader is a tree. He said, and ye are the branches. What does that mean? I am the tree, ye are the branches. So me being the tree, when I grow, and then ye are the branches, every nutrition that comes from the root, it comes through me, and eventually it is shown through you. It is shown through you. So I cannot succeed as a leader, but those following me are suffering. If that is the case, it means there is something wrong with your leadership, because you are either empowering the people or you are siphoning energy from the people. So you are either a life giver or you are a parasite. And unfortunately, 99% of modern day churches, the leaders are parasites. The leaders apply traditional leadership. Look at them. Look at their houses. Look at their living standards and compare it to the common sheep within their congregation, and it will tell you something. They have houses, the members don't. You look at their beginning, at their end, you realize before they started ministry, they were a bit low when it comes to the status quo. They were broke, even, if I'm allowed to say that. But now that they are into the ministry, 10, 30, now maybe 5, 10 years later, you see they are doing well. But you look at the church members and you see they are still struggling. It means there is something wrong with your leadership, right? So in being a leader, don't be a traditional one. Be a servant leader. Because if you want to work for Elohim, I'm already telling you, you will be a servant leader. That is the only way forward. So all these principles I've just laid down, we will see it transpire in the life of Moses. So let us begin with the birth of Massa.
In the book of Jasher 68 from 1,
And it was at that time
the spirit of Elohim was upon Miriam, the daughter of Amram, the sister of Aaron.
we will touch Miriam next week.
And she went forth and prophesied about the house, saying, Behold, a son will be born unto us from my father and mother this time,
and he will save
Israel from the hands of Egypt.
2.
And when Amram heard the words of his daughter, he went and took his wife back to the house after he had driven her away at the time when Pharaoh ordered every male child of the house of Jacob to be thrown into the water.
I don't know when we will deal with marriage again, eh? You will see. It's not an easy. You will see. Have you read? Have you read that? Did we all read the same thing? If Miriam did not prophesy, right? Amram wouldn't have touched his wife. She was sent away. Later on, the same Moses came. Do you know what he did to Zipporah? This person. Adam and Eve. You read how Adam begat Seth. Do you know what happened before he begat Seth? For years, Adam, Eve, no relations. No relations. If a Mensa, I don't even know if Eliyahu the Tishbite had kids. I don't know. It's not clear whether Elisha had kids. I don't know. So when you read all the stories, Abraham is, every marriage was on fire. Every marriage in the Bible, with no exception, it was on fire. So, salute to the married ones. It is part of your development. If you are able to keep your marriage balanced, no matter what people may say about you, I will salute you. So when I think about our fathers, I think about our mothers, you look at them, you're like, you people are strong in the spirit. Because this makes no sense, but you are surviving. Right? So he heard the prophecy, he looked at the tokens and the omens, and he went to his wife. Read.
So Amram took Jochebed, his wife, 3 years after he had driven her away. And he came to her, and she conceived. And at the end of 7 months from her conception, she brought
And there was no angel who came to Amram and said, Amram, your prayers are hindered. So that statement of Shaul, it needs investigation. It needs investigation. If you don't do this, then your prayers. Amram did not hear this. No prayer of Moses was hindered. He was even excelling around certain times. So that statement of maybe it's a New Testament corruption because it doesn't line up. Not because the house is on fire. It doesn't line up. So continue, Arike.
And at the end of 7 months from her conception, she brought forth a son. And the whole house was filled with great light, as of the light of the sun and moon at the time of their shining.
So what I wrote down is this in gold. A leader is someone,
Born as a response to a need.
repeat, a leader is someone
Born as a response to a need.
never from the,
Volition of man,
but more so
from the plan of Elohim.
due to this.
Circumstance surrounding their birth will more than likely be peculiar. So due to this, the circumstance surrounding their birth will more than likely be peculiar.
So jump to verse 4 again and read again. And at the end of how many months?
7 months
From her conception,
she brought forth a son.
which means what?
He was premature.
He was premature. Issues surrounding his birth. Issues. Instead of the full 9 months, at the end of 7 months
From her
conception, she brought forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because the mother was stressed. Around that time, babies were being killed. So the whole issue and stress, it brought complications. But lo and behold, he survived. So jump back to what you was reading. Due to this, the circumstance surrounding their birth will be more than likely be peculiar,
strange, or even complicated.
Mm-hmm.
These are all omens that it is a child who will attract troubles, but will overcome in the end.
That's right. So case in point,
Adam, Seth, Noah, Abram, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Samuel, Samson, the Messiah, etc.
all of their birth was peculiar. It brought issues. It was with the birth of Adam that the whole ecosystem and spiritual rankings were confounded. The one made last was made the second after Elohim. It caused issues. Then you have, what's the guy? Seth. When he was born, earthquakes, issues. It was around his time that they began to call upon the name of Yah. Noah was born. The one who was supposed to bring judgment upon the world. He looked like those who brought corruption to the world. Issues. But he was the deliverer. Abraham, issues. He was born and he had to be sent to a cave. Isaac, complications. Jacob, issues. Musa, issues. Samuel, issues. Simpson, issues. The Messiah, issues. Those are children. They came unexpected. They came when things were looking really bad. They came when desperation hit a toll. So he wrote down a leader, once again, is someone born as a response to a need. So are leaders born? Of course. Don't think you can just occupy certain spaces in society because you have studied. Are you mad? No matter how much you study, can you ever become the king of England? Man, you can be 10 times smarter than Prince Charles. You will still clean his toilet if you are black. And his child can be 100 times more foolish than you. He will still occupy the throne of the Dukes of England. So it is a lineage factor issue. They are born. Leaders are born. People are predestined. So I think it was one of the disciples, the mother mustered the courage to go to the Messiah and be like, hey, is it possible that you can occupy your left and your right for my 2 sons? And the Messiah looked at the woman. He was like, do you even understand things? And he told the woman, this one it has been predestined from ever since. So no, I cannot promise you that. It means there are thrones put in place And upon these thrones, names are already written. And no matter what you do, the prophecies of Elohim, they stand it sure. It was predestined for Moses to be born. So leaders, they are born. They are born. So we are continuing. That was his birth. Now let's go to the calling of Moses. And I just summarize, because Moses has many books. It's not just the first four. He has many books. He has many books. So we took some excerpts from the Bible, the book of Yasher, and many mystery books. So we are just summarizing the calling of Moses.
So A,
born in Egypt.
B, he had an impediment of speech.
This guy had an impediment of speech. He had an impediment of speech, meaning he was not fluent like us. He was hibaba. Impediment of speech, but he was the mouthpiece of Yah. Can you imagine that? Huh? Someone like Moses, he's walking to the guy is stuttering. So you want to make fun of the guy, but you can't. Right? So the guy had an impediment to speech. If you want to understand why, just read Yesher 70. You understand. C, rejected by his own. Yesher 71. Went to Cush and reigned for how long? 40 years. So Yesher 73 and 2, just a small excerpt. It says Moses was
27 years old
when he began to reign
over Cush,
and 40 years
did he reign.
The issue with Moses, when he killed the Egyptian, right, and he ran, he was 18. So he was in the Pharaoh's court and house for 18 years. Then he killed the Egyptian. He was afraid the people would find out. So at 18 years, he fled towards the desert. The angel led him towards Cush. There, he was an army commander for a long time. Moses was a man amongst men. He was a strategic captain. He understood the ways of war, and he excelled to the point where they were like, you must be our king. So he was 27 when he began to reign over Cush. And there he reigned 40 years. So moving towards Midian. After that, he reigned there for 40 years. They wanted to change leadership because he was a stranger, because he was not an African. He was a Shemite. So there was upheaval in the throne room and politics, and they were like, you are not one of us. We want someone who's of our blood. So they send him away after 40 years. And he was moving towards Midian now. So Yesher 76:12. So Moses
went forth from the land of Cush
and went home
and ceased to reign over Cush.
And
Moses was 66 years old
when he went out of the land of
Cush,
which makes sense because 27 or 6 when you start reigning, you reign 40 years. So you are at that age. So he was 66 years old when he went out of the land of Cush.
For the thing was from Elohim. For the period had arrived which he had appointed in the days of old to bring forth Israel from the affliction of Ham.
So remember the prophecy of Miriam. Moses was born to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt. So his leadership, his calling was all embedded in one. And the Bible says when he was 66, Elohim said, it is time. Are you reading this? When he was 66, the agenda of Elohim was like, it is now time. That's why we told you, and we will keep on repeating it, you are a prophet and you are below 40, you are a suspect. You are too young. As the prophet would say, small boys are young. You are too young. You are a what? Sent by whom? At what age? And this was in the desert of Seth in Africa. So now in Babylon, and you are a prophet below 40 in Babylon, you are false. It is untrue. It is untrue. Makes no sense, not biblical at all. The one time does Elohim tell you the story of a young prophet in the book of Chronicles or Kings. And the conclusion of that story is Elohim does not trust young prophets. That's the conclusion of that story. We are thousands of years ago. So now you are telling us in Babylon, all of a sudden he has a change of mind. But he says, I am Elohim, I change it not. So when Moses was 66, Elohim said, it is now about time. Right? So read. For the thing was from Yah, for the period that arrived which had appointed in the days of old to bring forth Israel from the vision of children of Ham. So Moses went to
Midian,
for he was afraid
to return to Egypt on account of Pharaoh.
And he went and sat
at a well of water in Midian.
We are jumping. So after the 66, right? He came into Midian. Right? Mm-hmm. So read 76:21. And Moses related to Reuel
that he had fled from Egypt and that he reigned 40 years over Cush.
Some call him Reuel, some call him Jethro, some call him Jethro-Bah. But anyways, Reuel, Jethro, the same. He related to Reuel that he had fled from Egypt.
Mm-hmm. And that he reigned over 40 years over Cush. Mm-hmm. And that they afterward had taken the government from him. Mm-hmm. And had sent him away in peace with honor and with presents.
So Reuel heard this and he was like, This story doesn't add up. They've sent him with peace. I don't think so. So Reuel heard the words of Moses. He said within himself,
I will put this man into the prison house, whereby I shall conciliate the children of Cush.
For he has fled
from them.
And they took and
put him into the prison house.
And Moses was in prison
10 years.
Are you reading this? Are you reading this? 66, Elohim said, it is about time. And then Reuel took him and he went into prison 10 solid years. And whilst Moses was in the prison,
Zipporah, the daughter of Reuel, took pity over him
and supported him
with bread and water all the time.
People. This is Moses, leading by example. You will read. So we go to the next chapter. We are still dealing with the calling of Moses. So the burning bush. Yashar, now we jump. Yashar 79:5. So after the 10 years, Reuel was like, Zipporah was like, Father, how long will you detain this man? And Reuel was like, Zipporah, are you mad? The guy's already dead. Since I put him in prison, I did not feed him for 1 day. My intention was for him to die. And Reuel said, and Zipporah said, let's go and see. If such a man is dead, then you are right. If he's still alive, then it means the Elohim of the Hebrews, because he's a Hebrew man, must love him very much and you must release him. Reuel said, cool. If such a man can survive, then I cannot hold him. So they went and they saw, lo and behold, Moses was in prison and he was praising and worshiping Yah. What does that mean? When Elohim said, hey, Moses, it is time, Elohim saw that Moses was almost ready. Moses was almost ready. But there are certain things that he was not yet privy of. So the perfect occasion for Elohim was like, I'll put you in prison. 10 years. You will see no face. You will see no soul. 10 years, quality time, just the two of us. Are you seeing the ways of Elohim? So when you are like, Elohim, use me, and all of a sudden you see people around you die. You're like, hey, you said, Elohim, use me. All of a sudden you're like, everything around you collapses. And you're like, hey, but you said, Elohim, use me. But the funny thing is, he's a multi-system God. As we say in English, a multi-system. So you don't know from what angle he will come. So you took Moses in prison 10 years. It was the perfect time from Elohim's perspective. Because you have nothing to do in prison 10 years. You will do spiritual things. You will develop. So 10 years long, Moses was under intensive training, as we call it, the hyperbolic time chamber. And after the 10 years, he came out, he married Zipporah, and he began to be a shepherd man, tending the flock, training. This is all training, tending the flock. And then Joshua 79, and Yah all of a sudden spoke to Moses from the burning bush.
Go and return to Egypt, for all those men who sought thy life are dead. And thou shalt speak unto Pharaoh to send forth the children of Israel from his land. And Yah showed him to do signs and wonders in Egypt before the eyes of Pharaoh and the eyes of his subjects, in order that they might believe that Elohim had sent him. And Moses hearkened to all that Yah commanded him, and he returned to his father-in-law and told him the thing. And Reuel said unto him, Go in peace.
Reuel said unto him, Go in peace. And Reuel said unto him, Go in peace. So now I've written down a summary. Moses was 18 years.
When he fled Egypt,
he was 27 years.
When he became the king of Cush,
he reigned in Cush for 40 years.
And was 67 when he left Cush.
He was imprisoned afterwards for 10 years.
And was 77 when released.
He had 2 sons afterward.
So his calling was at about the age of 80.
Are you reading this, people? So even when we say prophet under 40, we are still taking it easy. We are still taking it easy. The guy was 80 when he eventually went. All that time, he was not yet ready. And this was around the age there was no internet. There was no Facebook, no TikTok, no Insta. There was no Mackie, KFC, Burger King. There was no thuisbezorg. There was no internet. There was no internet. The comfort of life was not there. There was no TV. All these things were not there. There was no inundation of pork everywhere, even in your toothpaste. There's pork. All of these things were not there. And yet it took him such a long time. And you are now boasting. And you are like, I am sent. And you don't keep it to a local area. I'm sent to Amsterdam. That's too small for you. It's too small for you. You are saying, I'm sent to the nations. This is a claim that is above and beyond Moses. Moses was never sent to the nations. He was sent to one, and it took him this training. You are sent to the nations. However, you have never went to Afghanistan. You don't go to Pakistan. Every stan you avoid. You are sent to the nations, but you go to Mexico. You think we are foolish. You go to Brazil. You think we smoke crack. You go to you go to Canada. You are sent and you go to Canada. So Elohim has no vessels in Canada. So you are sent. And then we listen to your message. We're like, whoa. This is lag. It is shocking. This level. And all of a sudden you write books. But your books, I don't know. Your book is, I don't even know. So your book is like 40 pages. That's your book. And you have written a book. And there is no bibliography in your book because you are the source. But you are quoting things about Nimrod and Babylon. But you are the source. Were you there when Nimrod was there? So from a how do you call it? from a
Scholarly perspective.
not only scholarly, yeah, but how do we call that? Harvard, yeah, from a Harvard referencing perspective, you failed because you are writing stories about people you have never seen, but you claim you are the source. And gullible people who went to uni and have masters, they believe you. But when we say something, we're like, but look at Moses, 80 when he was finally sent. So ask yourself, am I walking the path? Is this real? Have I been sent or have I sent myself? Because his life alone will tell you that you have not been sent. You haven't even been called. So we are continuing. That was the calling. Now we go to the ministry of Moses. Key takeaways from his ministry. A, even though he was called to lead,
He himself was under the tutelage of an angel
this is basic.
and must be understood.
Another part. When the Messiah said, I go, but I leave you not alone. I send you the comforter. Because many things I have to tell you, but for now, you can't bear them. But when the comforter has come, he will lead you to all truth. If you are a leader, there is no leader without the comforter. If you have not the comforter, man, you are not leading no one. It is the comforter who must be there because he will keep you in check. Because you will realize that though you are leading the people, you are serving that angel. So you see in the Bible even means when the prophets would see the angel, they would say, Sir. They will call the angel master, teacher, friend. So even though he was called to lead, he himself was under the tutelage of an angel. This is basic and must be understood. A. B. He left a doctrine
and blueprint that people can follow.
C.
Leading a rebellious people who would not appreciate him nor the message.
Especially point C is why you need that comforter. The people you are sent to, most of them will not appreciate you. That is the telltale sign of a true servant. Can you imagine someone like the Messiah? The Bible said he who had the spirit without measure. You have it with measure. You have it with measure. Yeah, and the Bible said, the Messiah said, even he that believes in me, after me, many more works than me shall he do. That also is a New Testament thing that I detect some manipulation and inserts. You will never do more than a Messiah. How? John says the things he did was so much that even if you would take all the trees in the world and turn it into pencils, and take the oceans and turn it into ink, and take the heavens and turn it into scrolls, and begin to write the many things that Messiah did, he said books would be written and they would be full. He did many things. So yeah, I will do more than New Testament. You will not do more than him. Makes no sense. How? So that Messiah himself came. And at a certain point, he had 80 faithful followers. But when he got into the gist of his doctrine, and when he told them, you must eat my flesh and drink my blood, otherwise you won't make it, they said, this guy's a vampire. So most of them left him, and they were left 12, of which one was a devil. So the most people did not appreciate him. This is also a sign of being truly called. But if you are someone you are loved, and especially, we are telling you, leadership by example, especially if in your ministry you are loved by the sisters, that is a telltale sign that you are false. If you are creating a following of sisters, there is something wrong with your doctrine. So usually those that are really called by Elohim, they will have more male followers because we men, we are hard. So you can't come to us with nonsense all of the time. At a certain point, we will check you. So if you can keep the men in check, it means that you are all right. Right? So I wrote down in yellow, the remarkable thing.
About Moses
Read.
is how the fact that the hand of destiny is clearly evident in his life from birth. The man has gone through so many things, and just when he was finished living, lo and behold, Elohim then found him ready to be used as a vessel to bring about the written plan of salvation that many future generations, including us, will adhere to.
This is very key what I said. Just when he was finished living, lo and behold, Elohim then found him ready. The reason why usually you will not use young people so much is because young people are full of themselves. You have too much living going on. You have too much hope and aspirations. At the age of 80, the hopes of Moses were gone. His dreams and visions were dead. It was gone. So there was enough place for Elohim now to take over. You are so young, filled with many dreams. And especially when the dreams are not aligned to the mind of Elohim, he will look at you and be like, you are not ready. Too much hopes and aspirations and fantasies. You are drinking too much of the Babylon Kool-Aid. You are drunk with the king's portion and king's meat. Whilst in Babylon, you should have been satisfied with just water and greens. Meaning, don't take all the fullness of Babylon. Take it in moderation. Otherwise, you will be consumed by it. Right? So, and lo and behold, Elohim then found him ready to be used as a vessel to bring about the written plan of salvation that many future generations, including us, will adhere to. With such an experienced leader like Moses,
Yet Elohim really took his time to train, shape, and mold him,
how much more those
called to be leaders in modern day Babylon.
what manner of men?
And character must they possess?
It's not easy. It's not easy, people. When you see someone in Babylon walking and that person is trying, you ought to give him respect. You see a sister, she's trying to be decent, respect her. You see a brother, he's young, handsome, strong. He can do damage. He can do damage. But if you see that brother containing himself, trying, you must respect him. Because anything goes in Babylon. There is nothing you cannot do. So if you are restraining yourself, respect. Because we must keep on pushing. Because to be flawless in Babylon, it is almost impossible, if not by the help of the Almighty. That is why I think in Matthew even said that even though John the Baptist was great, those that will come after him will be greater than him. Because in order to survive in our day and age, it is a miracle by itself. I think last week there was the beauty pageant and a transformer won the beauty pageant contest. Women were there, but a transformer was also there. And the transformer, Optimus Prime, won. The transformer won. Can you imagine this world? The lie is so much that Logic doesn't. It was clear to see he was not the most beautiful one. It was clear to see, but the transformer won. Why? The agenda must be pushed. This is Babylon now. Where back in the days we would speak about diversity and discrimination, it was the fight against racism of us blacks. But now the LGBTQZ community, they have hijacked the conversation. Diversity and discrimination has nothing to do with you anymore. So you cannot even come and say, they will say, what? Are you still doing this? They will literally act as if you are crazy. They'll be like, whoa. So, whoa, like what? They'll be like, are you still doing this? And when you say, like, what do you mean? They'll be like, in 2023, are you still doing this? And you'll be like, no, but the manager called me nigga. They'll be like, really? They'll be like, don't you see how the trend they are being abused and you are still doing this? So they make you feel guilty. And this is the system, this is the world we are living. It makes no sense. So we cannot even discuss racism anymore because the conversation is hijacked. People. So, right? What I then wrote down, what manner of men and character must they possess? So we jump to some of the key characteristics of Moses. John 12:26. If any man
serve me,
Let
let
him.
him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor.
Numbers.
Now the man Moses was very meek,
He was very meek.
above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
Exodus 33:9. As Moshe
Entered the tent,
the pillar of cloud,
would come down and remain at the entrance,
and Elohim would speak.
with Moses.
Exodus 24:12. And Yah
Said unto Moses,
come up to me
into the mount,
and be there,
and I will give thee tables of stone
and a law
and commandments which I have written.
that thou mayest teach them.
Mhm.
So when you're speaking about what man of men ought ye to be, in yellow or gold it is written, a man filled with,
Meekness,
he has been tested.
and gone through hardships,
Unfortunately,
a failed marriage by all Western
course.
accounts.
listen, all the prophets, if we ought to take the Western account and approach to marriage, listen, all the prophets have failed marriages. You can begin to count them biblically one by one. Count them one by one. Count them. Bring me and show me a prophet in the Bible whose marriage was successful. Show me. And yet his prayers were not hindered. So once again, that New Testament quote, agenda. So unfortunately, a failed marriage by all Western accounts.
He
He
lived,
lived in service.
to Elohim and the people,
His ministry,
had tokens to accompany and vindicate his mission,
he was under,
the constant tutelage and leadership of an angel himself,
no, he was under the constant tutelage and leadership of an angel himself, and he would not do anything except what did I write down? Would not do anything except per the approval of,
the Comforter.
except for one thing which eventually causes the demise. That one thing, because of time, I will not jump into that much. But so when you look about the characteristics of, if you want to make it being really in leadership, and if we're going to tie this back to the servant leadership mindset, you must be meek. This is so key. You must be meek. Meek means you are humble. You cannot serve Yah and you are pride. You are proud. You are a pride person. It will fail miserably. You must be meek, because if you are not meek, how will you serve the people? If you are pride, you will let people work for you and you will find it normal because I'm the leader. But if you are meek, you have no hesitation serving the people. So the Messiah taught them a lesson. Before he died, he went and he washed their feet. And when Peter saw this, he was amazed. He was like, "You can't wash my feet. It is below you." The Messiah said, "Unless I wash your feet, you have no portion with me." And he was teaching people a lesson. And it was especially Peter who he was teaching. Because afterwards he came to Peter and said, "Peter, do you love me? Then tend to my flock. Tend to my flock." So I can assure you, as part of the apostles' doctrine, they would wash the sheep's feet, which also has a symbolic meaning as well. You wash someone's feet. Someone's feet stands for someone's destiny, the way he walks, the way he moves. You wash them not only physically, but if you are preaching righteous things to a person, you are washing their souls. So the Messiah said, "You are now clean by the words that I have spoken to you." So unless you are meek in service to the people, you cannot be a leader worthy of Elohim's approval. And it is in that meekness you will also see that some of the characteristics is, maybe it's in the next slide. I can't remember from the top of my head, but let's go to the next slide. Maybe we'll see. No, this is the deaf Moses. So no, this is not it. So continuing from the characteristic, one is meek, and the second is, I will skip the field marriage part. It's not really relevant now. Two, he lived in service to Elohim and the people. Three, his ministry had tokens to accompany and vindicate his mission. If you are called by Elohim, Elohim will vindicate your calling. He will give you something that will stand as an eternal proof that he has called you. So with Moses, he had two things. One, he had his staff, which was the staff of Adam, passed down from generations to all those that would serve Elohim. And the second thing, he had the tables of stone. So these things were the tokens of the ministry of Moses. He had his authentic message and he had a proof. I remember when the minister was explaining, how can you station an angel on an object? This is what it means. When you have reached that point where that relationship is tangible, you will receive a token. And upon that token, the ever-dwelling presence of that entity that is with you will be there. It will be there. So if you say you are called, what is your tool of power? One, two, what is your message? Everyone called will be called and be trained, but everyone sent will be sent with a specific message. Your calling is linked to a location, it is linked to a people, it comes with a specific message, and it is linked and accompanied with specific signs. The signs of Moses would only work in Egypt. If you went somewhere else, it would not work. So you say you are called. Called by whom? One. When you were called, what were your agreement? Two. What were the signs that he gave you to show you that he's with you? Three. What is your message? Four. All these things you must ask yourself. We that are sitting here, you think like, no, We know who called us. We know the location. You think we're just sitting in Nederland want we hebben niks te doen? We have degrees. We could have gone to UK. Some of us almost went even, but then we were reminded van hey, zo werkt liefde niet. We could have gone everywhere else. You think Nederland is an easy country? We can reach a bigger audience. But why are we here? Why are we here? Because we are linked to a specific location. Should we move, we will not be effective. So characteristics of a leader also. What is your home base? Because you can be successful anywhere else. But if you are not successful in your home base, when you will meet the one who decides destiny, he will tell you, did you accomplish the task? If Jonah was sent to Nineveh, but he chilled in Jerusalem, Noah or Jonah would have failed his mission. If Jeremiah stayed in Jerusalem, but he was sent to go to Babylon, he would fail his mission. So every mission is linked to a location. And it's linked to a message, and you have tokens to demonstrate that you are sent by Yah. The sons of Eli, what's his name? Aaron had his priestly garment. So everyone has a token. You must show yours. As for Solomon, that one, liever niet. So we are now continuing, yeah? Unfortunately, the death of Moses. A case of Meribah and his indiscretion. I wrote down, do not let the people to cause your death. Very unfortunate how he came about dying. When I spoke about the beginning, how you must be flexible, otherwise you won't make it. First time around Meribah, Elohim said to Moses, because the people were weeping, he said, take your staff, smite the rock, that rivers may flow out of the rock. Moses did so. Second time around, in the case of Meribah, Elohim said, this time, sanctify me before the people. Do not smite the rock. Speak to the rock, that rivers may flow from it. Moses came, saw the people, how they were misbehaving, and it pained him so much that he smote the rock again. And Elohim said, because ye refused to sanctify me before the people, you let the people get the best of your emotions, and you doubted me. Therefore, I will cut you short. So these people that you are serving, that's why we wrote down, you will need that comforter, because the comforter will be your barrier against the people. Otherwise, if you are left to the mercy of the people you are serving, they will see you die and watch you. They will see you die and watch you. That is the type of people that we are. So I wrote down B, death at 120, died in strength.
Even in old age.
C, succession of leadership, no family.
Business.
So you are called to be a leader. And because you are called to be a leader, you have made your wife a pastor by force. Why? Because it's now a family affair. If there are 2-3 pastors and they are all males, it means you guys must now split the funds. But if I am the senior pastor, and the second pastor in command is my wife. And then maybe the third one is an evangelist. We can pay him less, but we will get the bulk of the money. It's shared between me and my wife. Since we live together, it is our money. This is all strategic. They are keeping it in the family. So if you are also one of those leaders with the best of your intention, your wife is your second in command, something is not correct. You are a suspect. So I wrote down no family business. The one faithful
and capable and chosen by Yah is the one who takes over.
So as we are concluding, I wrote down the conclusion of the life of Moses
is one of the saddest conclusions in the Bible.
If you read it for the first time, you wouldn't see it like this. But if you begin to imagine and you begin to place yourself in the man, you'll realize that it was a sad life with many ups and downs. So I wrote down, Moses led the people
of Israel with dignity and truth.
Yet at the end,
Elohim told him to write a lamenting song about the misdeeds of the people and their fathers.
This story of Moses is a sad
reality, a reminder that...
Can you imagine 80 years it took Elohim to train you? He then sends you on a mission. You guys suffer in the wilderness for 40 years. An old man, 40 years, scorching heat, leading crazy people. Can you imagine you are leading only your wife and your 2 sons in the wilderness? It will be difficult. Imagine leading millions of black folks. Can you imagine? Craziest of rebels. You are leading them. Jethro came. He woke up at maybe, usually in the desert, 4, 5. He wakes up 4, 5. He's taking his supper. He sees Zipporah. Zipporah's taking her supper. The 2 sons of Moses are taking their supper. And he's like, but where's Moses? Zipporah is like, Moses, my Lord. He spent the whole night praying. And then at 4, he went to the temple. And there he is judging the people. Jethro said, okay, fine. At 4, around evening time when the sun begins to go down, Jethro comes again. He sits. Zipporah, his daughter, serves him food. The 2 sons of Moses are there. Jethro looks around. Moses is still not there. He asks Zipporah, where is Moses? Zipporah says, Moses, my Lord, is still judging the people. He will do so until late in the night. When he comes, he eats, and then on his knees again. This is his life. So Jethro waited until Moses came back. And Moses came back tired. So Jethro's like, Moses, is this the way you serve your Elohim? Because mind you, in Midian, I am also a priest. So I'm not new to these matters. And unless you take a different approach, Moses, you will die. And the crazy thing is, that same comforting angel that was there, he was looking at Moses. He was looking at Moses, but he did not say, hey, Moses, if this is how you will die. No, because duty comes first. Angels know emotions. And Moses was not transgressing anything, so the job was being done. But at the same time also, you also have your own wisdom, have you not? So no one will. There's no angel will tell you no. Stop fasting. You are fasting too much. No, breakthrough, breakthrough. You must tell yourself, "Hey, if I fast too much, I will get ulcers. I may die." No one will tell you stop fasting. So in this also, you need balance in your so-called leadership. Do not neglect your health. You always eat late. I remember this story. There was this story of this prophet it was in Ghana. Mighty prophet. He's doing many things. But he would always be so deep in the ministry that he would usually always eat late in the night because he's busy. So to the process of years, his stomach kept growing. So to the point where the stomach became excessive, fat. So the prophet went to Elohim. Elohim, this stomach, is it something? Is it something? Can you help me maybe? Elohim said, I cannot help you with your stomach. It is your own doing. And then he began to retrace his steps and he was like, I have an unhealthy lifestyle. And no angel could counsel him there. You are living unhealthy and you are a prophet. Because you are a prophet, does that mean that you are in the good graces of Yah, so the angel will balance out your calorie intake? No, no, no. The laws of nature, they are at work. Use it or misuse it, but they are at work. So Jethro counseled Moses. But eventually, unfortunately, the death of Moses caused by the people. So in taking examples from Moses, there are things you take from him, but other things also you don't take from him. Do not let these people you are leading kill you. Advise yourself. Sometimes you must hide. Apply Enoch's lifestyle. Learn to hide. Because people will suck you dry. Hey, we willen barbecue. Kan het bij jou thuis? Oh ja, en toevallig, het is toch toevallig bij jou thuis. Vind je erg als ik het vlees breng naar je, je marineert het alvast? Oh, sorry, kan je misschien even een beetje drinken? Zet het in de koeling. They are draining you. Training you. Oh ja, sorry. Ze kunnen niet slapen. They contact you. Issues, they contact you. Everything, they contact you. When they need something, they contact you. But never have they sat down and said, hey, ik heb iets voor je gebracht. Why? Gewoon, ik zat aan je. It's always the other way around. They need something, they reach out to you. They have never reached out to you because they did not need anything. They have never reached out to you just to ask, hey, gewoon even vragen, maar hoe gaat het met jou? Je bent zo bezig, maar lukt het wel met de app? No. So unless you protect yourself, you will die. So I wrote down, and then at the end of all the things that Moses went through, the angel comes to Moses. No, this is not what I wrote down. The angel comes to Moses and tells him, Moses, write a song. Because immediately, not even immediately, you're already seeing it now, but after your death, all your labor, the people will misbehave. So write it down and begin to sing it. So you know when Moses sang his song, he was weeping. Because you cannot invest 40 years in people and then see them going down and you are smiling. And he was already old and he was already not, he was no longer 100%. So you know he was weeping. When he was writing it down, he was crying. When he taught the people, he was crying. And then the angel told him, this is the country where you were supposed to go, but you can't. You will die at the valley. So you know his death was tragic. Look at all his labor. So when you say, I'm called to be a prophet, are you sure? It is not an enjoyable task at all. So I wrote down this story of Moses
is a sad reality and reminder that rarely do the servants of Elohim have a happy life.
You must understand this and you must train yourself already. Rarely do the servants of Elohim have a happy
life.
Enoch
disassociated himself from mankind,
Noah
died lonely with grief for having lost 99%
Can
of
you
the world
imagine?
population.
You always read the Bible and you don't live it. You will never see Noah when the Bible says Noah was an upright man for his generation. It means he was not that upright. Would you be upright? What mistake have you found in Noah? Because he drank wine. Do you know what you would have done? Because at this time, Noah was maybe 700 something years. Do you know what he has seen? To the point where 99% of the people that he knew all died. And he was only left with his wife and children. And the world that he knew and everything around it was killed off. And you think that he should function. After that, he did not even touch his wife. So Noah died sad and with grief and a broken heart, having lost the world population. Moses
died with a broken heart.
Samuel,
Ezekiel, Isaiah, Habakkuk, all sad stories.
Point. However,
the works and words of the prophets of Elohim stand strong until this day.
Therefore,
those who are called to be prophets, to be leaders, and in the fivefold ministry should understand and follow this simple truth.
And the truth is that your work
is not meant to be appreciated while you live.
Put this in your head. Your work, your value is not meant and will not be appreciated while you
live.
You will walk amongst people. Spiritually, you are chosen. You are greater than them. But you will walk amongst them and they will treat you like crap. The people around you will not see you. They will praise others and not you. You will be the rejected stone. It is part and parcel of this calling. So if you are pride, then you will try to show out. And that is where you will compromise. But if you are of Elohim, you will swallow it. Why? Because you have listened and remembered and understood this simple truth. Your work is not meant to be appreciated whilst you live. So today
is work without accountability, and after your death, it will be accountability without works.
Therefore,
do what you must do and seek not the approval of men.
At the day
of the great reckoning, the master of harvest will reward his servants based on their merit.
So for now,
push on.
Push on. Forget the compliments. Forget the accolades, because you will get none. For now, put your mind to zero. Tell yourself, I'm a slave, just like Shaul did, and just work. Don't think about reward, accountability. No, just work and act as if Elohim does not know you. Act as if you will not receive anything, and live until you die. And then when you die and you have no more works, that is when you will get your accountability. And they will tell you, remember all the labors you did in that world. Receive it. Put this in your mind and do it like that. So you will see in whatsoever capacity you are serving Elohim, being it in a marketing team, technical team, leading prayers, whatsoever. Everything you do, you are telling yourself, I am but a servant. And you will not accept, oh yeah, I've done this, so Chris should congratulate me. Oh yeah, I did this. The justice must tell me I've done well. Who tells us that we have done well? But we are still doing it. Why? Because we understand that we are not valued here. Because if we was claim to walk in the footsteps of those that went before us, they were also not valued. And I always say, if the Messiah was struggling to get 12 souls, we are on our knees if we can deliver one to Elohim. That is the sad reality of this life. So all of you walking, we see you, but we don't trust you because we don't know. So we are just marching on. We are just living life. So in conclusion,
we have looked at some key principles of leadership using some examples from the life of Moses. Here we are reminded that those who are to lead are to be the greatest of servants and live in service to the people they are to shepherd. The preparation of those called to lead is an intensive and extensive process which can take up to 50 years before you are ready to represent the Almighty. Patience is therefore required, and a total lack of self-importance is essential in order to pass this test. Whilst in ministry, 9 out of the 10 prophets have lived a simple and quiet, sad lives of sacrifice, but they were not appreciated by the ones they were sent to. Eventually, we have seen how Elohim in the end will reward his servants in the life that is to come. And whilst they are living, they will have the comforter for support to help them keep some sanity despite the trials and tribulations.
So the book of Amos, read this very carefully. Amos 7:14.
Then answered Amos and said to Amaziah,
I was no
prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was an herdman and a gatherer of sycamore fruit.
And Yah
took me as I followed the flock. And Yah said unto me, go and prophesy unto my people Israel.
In other words, Amos is telling Amaziah, it was never my intention, nor has it ever been my desire to be a prophet. I was minding my business, sitting under the sycamore tree, thinking about my next meal and about the little flock I had. Then all of a sudden, the hand of Yah came upon me, and he said, my son, you must go. This is the mindset of everyone called by Yah. They don't rush into things. They ask questions to Yah. They hesitate. They'll be like, no. But those who are happy, in nice suits, I am a prophet. You're not the one. So people, these are the things. May Elohim keep us humble. May he keep us strong. May he continue to strengthen us. May he remove from us any form of self-life. We may live a life of the lack of self-importance, a humble and a meek life. May we pass the tests and the trials and the trainings of this life, that we may be able to accomplish the tasks given unto so much of us who are called to either lead or serve the one leading. Have a nice Sabbath and shalom, 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 shalom.